Hello, welcome to episode 33 of the Anders podcast. My name is James.
And my name is Daniel.
My name's Yan.
This week, we're going to talk about some of the social issues in Taiwan. And maybe I'll tell some stories to you guys, okay?
Yeah,
I
story
have
time.
2 stories to share with you guys.
Yeah.
This is story number 1.
Okay.
And actually, we took a short break in the past few weeks.
Yeah,
So how have you been? What have you been doing these past few weeks?
Well, recently I'm trying to publish my own book.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Yes.
What is it about?
It's full of my articles.
Mm-hmm.
Your article?
Okay.
Yes,
Your,
article.
your composition or something.
Yes.
Like prose or...
Yeah?
I think I'm kind of an amateur writer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I want to publish this book as my maybe souvenir of college.
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
Like for me, I'm writing script about our another show, and about my own personal work. Yeah, just writing script.
Do you want to promote your book?
Promote
Here.
my book?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Put it here.
But you're going to have to pay us, though.
Yeah.
You have to pay us after you promote your book.
Well, I will have to think about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no, seriously, do you want to promote your book?
Well,
Where can people go see your book?
It's not the time yet.
Okay. We'll take a moment. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the title is called Battle of the Rainbow,
Uh-huh.
and mostly we're going to talk about a story about same-sex marriage in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 2019, Taiwan became the first country in Asia actually to legalize same-sex marriage.
Yeah, that's quite a
Yes. That's
milestone.
Quite an
for-
achievement.
Yeah.
But though it was victorious, it's not an easy task. It was a very difficult
Process.
Actually, a lot of
working out.
people have worked on it.
Yeah.
And today we're going to follow a story of one specific person, okay? But we acknowledge that there are a lot of people working on it,
Mm-hmm.
but we just thought that this is a more coherent story from the
Yes.
beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And actually, many people have helped out, okay? So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to say. Actually, some people even died for same-sex marriage to be alive here in Taiwan. And so we need to remember those people.
Yeah.
And we need to thank those people for this kind of freedom that we have today.
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. It goes for everything, actually. For not only for same-sex marriage, for maybe for like free speech, freedom
any
of
kind of
speech,
rights,
any
yeah.
kind of human right.
Human
actually,
rights.
we need to be very thankful,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't make stupid jokes about
Yeah.
some
Some
inappropriate stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So first, I want to talk about a little bit of the early history of same-sex,
Okay.
relationships in Taiwan.
So when's the time is it going to?
So it's very early. It's even before the government came to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Before the
Chinese government
ROC
had come to
government came
Taiwan.
to Taiwan. Actually, some tribes of Taiwanese aboriginals they actually accept that same-sex can live together.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it is accepted by the members of the tribe.
The
So
tradition of them, yeah.
they don't discriminate against these kind of people, and it is seen as normal.
Huh.
So it was really hard to think about, right? Hard to imagine, right?
Kind of a
That-
cultural shock between...
Yeah, it was actually
Yeah.
accepted, and it was actually maybe part of the ROC government or part of
So-
somebody else who were against
against
this, right?
this, yeah.
So this tribe include the tribe believing Christians.
Christians.
Oh, that was even, I think, not
Not that
necessarily,
early, yeah.
because not all the tribes were Christian tribes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
before
right.
they were Christian, I think they respected the rules of their own tribe. So
Okay.
it was considered as normal at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very interesting for me when I was doing my research because actually it is, this kind of discrimination is really man-made,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So from now, we're going to start from the beginning of the story.
Okay.
It starts in, I think, 1986.
Oh,
1986 in Taiwan. So we're going to follow the story of Mr. Chi.
It's a chi.
Mr. Chi.
Chi.
Mr. Chi is a political activist
Yeah.
and a vocal member of the Taiwanese LGBT community
For a very long time. Let's say.
since 1986 to
Nearly 40 years.
right now, and
Wow.
he's still currently working towards true equality.
True equality, yeah.
I think we made a big step, but we still have steps to make. But,
Yeah.
So he's still working on it. But the story started when in 1986 he attempted to register same-sex marriage at the Taipei local jurisdiction.
Uh-huh.
So he and another man, they went
Yeah.
to the Taipei local jurisdiction and they were rejected in 1986.
Not
And,
surprisingly.
Yeah.
yeah, so subsequently, he submitted his request to the legislative grant at that time,
Yeah.
which is basically Congress.
Yeah,
legislative
Congress,
grant, and was again rejected. And because at the time Taiwan was still under martial law,
Of the community government.
was still very
strict on
very strict,
cultural
so-
or
and freedom of
Yeah.
speech.
Yeah.
So he was actually put into jail at that time
wow.
simply for advocating LGBT rights.
That's hard for me to imagine
Yeah.
nowadays. Yeah.
And so he was put into jail. Actually, really put into jail.
Jail.
For how long?
And-
Do you know?
I think for nearly a year.
Wow.
Nearly a year. And
That's
I
quite
think his next door cellmate was President Chen.
President Chen,
President
yeah,
at the
ex-president.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they met at that time, and then they had, I think, some discussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mr. Chi became an important figure for the LGBT community in Taiwan, and he again attempted to register same-sex marriage the same way in 1992, 1994, and 1998.
Wow.
So
several
for a
times.
couple of years, he would do
Yeah.
the same thing. He would go register with another male
Yeah.
for same-sex marriage,
Yeah.
and all the time he was rejected again and again.
It's like a wall that's hard to be broken.
Yeah, it's because it
It's
was
punching.
still very conservative in Taiwan at that time. So he was often rejected.
Strong perseverance,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
would say.
So 1998 was the year we were all born, right?
Yeah. And then
Yes.
eight.
It's actually
both three of us.
it's some time ago, but it's not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to imagine that
At that time,
the
this,
landscape,
yeah.
it's very different
Cultural landscape is very different from now.
Yeah. So in 2000, in year 2000, he applied for the interpretation of Constitution. Okay. So I want to explain this interpretation of the Constitution. So
the
when
system.
when you feel like a law is not fair,
Yeah.
you can apply for the interpretation of the Constitution.
Yeah. Since the Constitution is like the basic law of the whole country.
So maybe we want to talk a little bit about the hierarchy of laws here in Taiwan. Okay, so we were taught this in middle school.
middle school.
Yes, middle
Yeah,
school.
so
I think
the
just
highest,
like, yeah.
the highest rank of the law is called Constitution.
Yeah.
And under Constitution, you have laws, the regular laws,
yeah.
and under laws you have administrative orders. And within the hierarchy, you cannot, contradict the one above you.
Above you. Yeah. Yeah.
So no law can contradict the Constitution, and
Yeah.
no administrative order can contradict the law. Okay,
Yeah.
so he thought that the law was not fair. The civil law was not fair. So he attempted to register for interpretation of the Constitution. So you could ask the keepers of the Constitution to decide whether this law is in contradiction with the Constitution. Okay, so he did that for that time.
Yeah.
And he stated that the civil law was against the contradiction. The Constitution. But he was rejected in 2001.
Oh, yeah.
So he did that
Wow.
in year 2000, and in 2001 was rejected again.
But it's a step forward then.
It's a step forward
Just-
that he applied for to the explanation of a contradiction
Yeah.
of the Constitution. Yeah. And so after that, I think he had a couple of years where he was, doing a lot of political activist work,
Yeah.
a lot of work for AIDS, even,
AIDS, yeah.
and he became a
LGBT.
very prominent figure in the LGBT community. A lot of people ask him to do talks or to bridge the gap between the people in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
He acts as a spokesperson
Yeah.
for the community,
Writing articles, writing books, or
And so the story comes to the 2013. So 2013, Mr. Chi again attempted to register for same-sex marriage. Again.
another step.
Once again, wow.
Once again, and he was rejected again.
Ah.
Okay, but this time something changed. So the Taipei local jurisdiction rejected it, but they gave him a reason.
Reason.
Yeah. So the reason is that civil law states that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Okay? And I want you guys to remember this point because this is very important
point.
in the story.
Yeah.
So it
Turning
was
point?
rejected because of this reason. Okay, so on Chinese Valentine's Day, 2015. So on I think August 20th.
August 20th, yeah.
Yeah, on 2015.
Yeah.
He filed again for the interpretation of the Constitution again,
Again.
and because he was rejected in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that I would call it a beginning of a new age. Because I think during this time something has changed.
Yeah, it's definitely
between
a
this
point.
time and the last time he applied for the same thing.
Yeah.
So in 2017, the Justice Yuan, so basically the Supreme Court officially accepted the application and scheduled a hearing for March 24th in 2017 for this interpretation of the Constitution. So on March 24th, 2017, Mr. Chi testified in front of the Constitution Court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he went there
Such
and
a chance,
he spoke about his experiences as being a gay man.
Yeah.
And he also stated that he has waited 41 and a half years
So
for this hearing to happen in 2017. So it was quite powerful when I read this. And he was really fighting his whole life, basically, from when he was, I think, 20-something years old to now, to 60-something. Yeah, so he's still fighting. And so in 2017, he said he fighted 41 and a half years for this to happen. Yeah. And finally, on May 24th, the Justice Yuan enacted the number 748 interpretation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And officially deemed that the civil law in contradiction with the Constitution. Yeah. So the Supreme Court agreed that the civil law that states that marriage should be between a man and a woman is in contradiction with the Constitution and should be outlawed in the recent future.
Yeah. So that's the reason why it's important.
Big turning point because I think it is against the equality laws in the Constitution. The gender equality laws in the Constitution. Yeah. So that was quite a big break point, I think, in 2017. So did you guys have any experience or memory of what happened then?
Actually, I only focus on this issue before a referendum.
Okay. So that's happening next year?
Yes.
Yeah. How about you?
For me, that's kind of a big like achievement for me to realize that they are moving forward on this issue.
Yeah.
At the time, that news is very like making people having hope to the future.
Yeah, I remember I was very proud of what was happening there in Taiwan at the moment, and I thought that Taiwan is actually moving forward. After they outlawed the civil law, and actually Taiwan is really the first country to do so in Asia.
Yes.
Within Asia, a lot of countries are still very conservative or maybe controlled by a powerful government.
For me, that at that time, a lot of some of my gay friends just we get to celebrate together with drinks and we like have a party, and I very, very wish them that will have the same rights that that's the country given us for to get married. Yeah,
I felt especially special because throughout my life, I think my experience was still very conservative because I did not have any gay friends. Maybe I had, but they weren't, very openly, spoke out during my childhood and my teenage years. So it really the environment I think has changed a lot.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of insults regarding gay
when we were small,
when we were in our childhood. But I think a lot of people realize that it's very offensive to say that now, and they realize that it is, truly you have to really respect any kind of people for what they want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was, I think, the most special thing that I got from all of this.
Yeah. So how about the next step?
Yeah. So after 2017, you would expect smooth sailing from then on because the Supreme Court said
they just
so
deemed that.
We're just waiting for the law.
Yeah.
But actually now in the election in 2018, before the election in 2018, some conservative Christian groups, they were dissatisfied with the 748 interpretation, and they vowed to protect traditional family values.
Yes.
I've heard
which
of
is
that.
ridiculous, by the way, to protect traditional family values. But actually for the election of 2018, they applied for this issue to be a part of the referendum. So during that year, we had a huge referendum, actually.
Yes.
We have
Along
a lot
with,
of, I think 15.
We have 10 cases.
Okay.
Allow
15? Yeah, it's
15
15.
questions.
Yeah.
that we had to. Also was the first time we voted. So
Yes.
for us to go to the referendum, we had 15 questions laid in front of us.
Yeah, yeah.
We had to, stamp out the answers for the referendum. And so I remember it was a mess that year.
Because it's the first time that having so much questions in the referendum.
Yeah, also, it was very strange that for the same question, they had two sides of the question.
Yeah.
So, like for same-sex marriage, they would ask, "Are you in support of the same-sex marriage?" And that was one question. And the other one was, "Are you
not in support
of the same-sex marriage?" Which is quite confusing for everybody. And it was a big mess that year.
Yeah.
So, so it was part of the referendum in 2018. And I think that raises a couple of questions, I would like to say.
So what kind of questions?
First of all, can such matters be decided by referendum?
Wow, good questions.
Right? Because this is some basic
human rights.
Human rights.
Yeah, and I think by the stuff that we learn in school, you shouldn't really decide these by referendums, right?
Yeah, put that into the votes.
But the Christian groups were very powerful, and so they really did this, and they had actually between the Christian groups they had a couple of different ideas actually.
Yeah.
So some Christian groups thought that they should completely deny same-sex marriage, just completely outlaw it. But the other one is maybe we should use a special law for same-sex to get married.
Yeah, but using special law, but not changing civil law is kind of a discrimination between them.
Yeah, it's kind of a discrimination. And so that's why people were against it.
Yeah.
But the results were very disappointing. So the results for the referendum was landslide victory for the conservative groups. So all the are in support of same-sex marriage
Actually,
were all denied.
Before the vote, I saw that the group that supports same-sex marriage will win.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But actually, there was a lot of groups that we weren't in touch with.
Yeah. Yes.
And so ultimately, I think the referendum was a victory for the conservative groups. And it also heightened conflict between different age groups.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the younger people thought that...
Frustrated.
Because it was everybody's right to get married to whoever you want. And that we couldn't understand why the elders would disagree with that.
Yeah.
And so it also caused, I think, mass disappointment within LGBT groups.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was a very sad time for them.
Yeah, it's a hard strike.
A hard strike for them.
Yeah.
Okay. But then in 2019, we learned that though the referendum was passed, it is non-effective because the results of referendum are on the tier of law. Okay. Yeah. So they cannot contradict the Constitution and its interpretations. Yeah. So basically, the referendum was for nothing. Was really for nothing. Yeah.
But that referendum also just bring us to know about that. Lots of people still against LGBTQ community, and
I think after that, a lot of the LGBTQ community actually changed their ways of their strategy. Regarding
striking for
the propaganda
equality,
or how to communicate with their audience. Because they were, I think, quite aggressive in the beginning.
Yes.
Aggressively disagree with all the conservative groups. But after this, I think they changed their tone.
More softly,
more
smooth.
To a more subtle way, more understanding. And I think that helped out a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the referendum was basically nullified. Okay. So on May 17th, in 2019, the Legislative Yuan officially passed the number 748 interpretation law.
Yeah.
And it was subsequently enacted on the 24th of May, which is also, I think, LGBTQ rights day.
Rights day, yeah.
Yeah, I think they chose May 24th to enact this law.
Yeah.
And so President Tsai, I think, enacted it.
Yeah.
And we became the first country in Asia to really legalize same-sex marriage. Yeah.
Actually, on May 5th, 17th, I'm actually with some of my gay friends. We go to Legislative Yuan, just outside of the Congress, and waiting for the meeting go on and just pass the law, and we celebrate.
Waiting for the vote.
Yeah.
And I think the vote was pretty one-sided.
Pretty one-sided, yeah.
60 something to 30 something to 20 something. 20 something didn't. 20 something people didn't vote.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully it passed.
Yes.
And so now you can legally get married
With the same sex.
With same sex in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the law was passed, basically last year, so 1 year has passed from last year to now.
Yeah.
And guess how many couples got married in Taiwan?
Well,
Same-sex
I've never
couples.
thought about that, but
Maybe 1,000 couples.
I thought 2,000.
2,000 couples?
Yeah.
It was
It's a
much
year.
less than that. Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was only 526 same-sex
500?
couples. Yeah,
That's-
only 500 same-sex couples got married with a
Oh.
population of 23 million people. So a lot of conservative groups were worried that people would all become gay if the laws were passed.
Yeah.
And I think this pretty much just disproves
their point.
their point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people got married after this law.
Yeah, at that time, what the point that they said people will become gay after the law was
After the
passed.
law.
It's just
Which
ridiculous.
was just a really ridiculous point for them to
Yeah.
make. Yeah. So I want to discuss this a little bit more because we were talking about because the civil law hasn't changed a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So they didn't really actually change the civil law. They actually just made a new law. Which states that same-sex marriage should be the same in the civil law.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's a
Tricky,
way of
yeah.
it's a way,
So,
it's a subtle way of making both
Yes.
parties happy.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the conservative groups wanted a special law for LGBTQ people,
Yes.
but the LGBTQ thought that it was discriminative.
Yeah.
So basically, this way actually negates both
Yeah.
sides of.
Yeah. But I still have to state that it's still not the true equality.
It's still not true
Yeah.
equality, but it is
is,
a good step for
good
now.
step, yeah.
At least they can really legally get married.
Yeah.
And I think after this step, I
Yeah.
think the most important step is understanding, I think, I would say.
And gradually, maybe
I
the
would say
society can.
the
can
current goal
understand.
for, I think, next 5-10 years, it's
Yeah.
actually publicly, everybody should accept, same-sex marriage.
Respect them. and-
Truly,
yeah.
okay. And after people truly respect this, I think
Yes.
it's easy for the law to change by that time. Yeah. So we
That's
already made a step in the right direction. I think
Yeah.
we're not far away from actually
equality,
making that
yeah.
into the civil law, and
Yeah.
I think it is achievable.
Maybe
in
in
the near
10
future,
years or
in the near
20
future.
years,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm hopeful that Taiwan has the power to do that.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Do you have any ideas, any discussions?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of they do very well on making this maybe this act working on so subtle and so like striking at the balance point between two groups.
Yeah, I think it was very smart for them to
Yeah, definitely.
to do a special law, but
Yeah.
actually the law states that it's the same in the
same.
civil law, which was I think
Yeah.
very smart.
Yeah,
But if it's possible, I would like them to change the civil law in the future.
yeah.
Yeah, which I think it's definitely possible. So people are still working very hard, and I think we want to maybe make that voice a little bit stronger.
Yeah, a little bit.
To say that we really do support same-sex marriage,
Yeah.
and not that LGBTQ in
Yeah,
whole.
yeah.
Yeah.
We support them and we would like to protect their basic human rights.
Yeah, and we also like to thank the people who had fought hard in this war.
Yeah.
In
Very
this
long time.
Battle of the
40,
Rainbow.
40 or so years.
And it's a victorious day for us now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it for this episode. We'll see you next week.